great to be here. Things look different. 40 years ago, a young couple came from Zaire, the Congo. Ended up in Columbia, Missouri. And we walked in the door. They were showing us a church, and there was a picture of a building that had been there for some time. I think, you remember? A few years. We said, "What's this?" And he said, "Well, that's a multi-purpose building that we're going to build, but we can't seem to get started." Well, unfortunately, we did leave in 2 years back to Africa, but fortunately, the school, the ground had been broken, and they were digging in the dirt when we left. We're glad that the school was built, and you have it now. I'm glad that you're expanding. Wow. I can see you need more room. It's wonderful. Just wonderful that you're expanding the church. You have a good pastor. I've known Hiram for some time. And just fantastic. I dropped the knife coming up here. It's a butcher knife. I'm not sure if you ever had one in your pulpit before. But then I had one just like it that was touched by an angel. Really. I will tell you that in a minute. Kathy?
Yes.
You have a song about Adventist World Radio. We bring you greetings from Adventist World Radio. By the way, weekends are fun for us. We have a group of 100 and I think 75 in Ukraine right now. They're doing a huge medical clinic. They're just finishing up in Ukraine. We just got word from some friends of ours. They're partnering with us. They want to take 1,000 of our God pods into Liberia. No, Libya. Yeah, you know they had the floods there, and a lot of people trapped in their cars, and for their way of thinking is they need to get them out of the car so they can bury them. So our people are, it's amazing. As a Christian, you can't get in. But some of our guys that partner with us are Gideon's Rescue, they're called. They're the professional people, and they're based in Oklahoma. And they connected somehow with an ambassador from Libya. And he said, "I'll get you in." So we're getting visas to get them in. And they'll take 1,000 God pods. We just found we have all these God pods just sitting around the world, thousands of them. And they have the Bible on them. They have our message, a full messages on them. And it's just amazing. And lots of people are listening in different languages around the world, making decisions for Jesus. Just can you imagine? We have a radio station. Should I tell them this? After the song?
Yeah.
Before or after?
Whatever.
We have a radio station in Nazareth. And Nazareth is, 80% Muslim. And I'll tell you the story about him a bit. That's about the knife. And was telling me a few days ago, he said that he got a call from the West Bank. You know about the West Bank? Yeah. And it's pretty tough. But through the radio station, we have 300 people that are actively engaged with us in the West Bank, listening. I know that's not thousands like it is in some places, but for the West, well, it's amazing. And so that's where the knife story comes from, but not now. So they said, "We want to be baptized." Really? Yeah. Yeah, they said, our daughter, they're 10 kids, and they're big. You know, a daughter, she's an adult kid. She was listening to, have you ever heard of Pastor Utman? He has a daughter who is our vice president, Cammie. And this daughter had this dream, and she saw a great light, and then a man on a white horse in the sky. She saw the dream 3 times, and she said, then she started listening to Cammie's sermons, and she said to her dad, Dad, we got to listen to these. The same thing that the angel said, or the man on the white horse in the sky to me, Cammie is saying in the sermons. So 10 children plus mom and dad are preparing to be baptized in the West Bank. We just had that happen with 2 other couples, and there was machine gun fire on the streets. They rented an apartment that had a swimming pool on the top floor, and they were up there, and shots were being fired below, and this is real stuff. I just heard, in December, where are we going? Mindanao. Have you ever heard of Mindanao? Mindanao, Philippines. They have some of the worst terrorists in the world. We baptized by God's grace. It was just amazing. In Mindoro, a couple of years ago, we're still working there. Several thousand. The rebels had control. They're assassins. You know, real assassins. They controlled the island for 50 years. 50 years. That's how long AWR has been broadcasting. So we started broadcasting to the mountains, and 50 years. Killed 40,000 people, guys. This is not little stuff. So we went to the American Embassy in Manila for the Philippines, and we talked to the ambassador and the others there, and they said, this is thrilling and exciting. We're happy to hear the stories, and one of the ambassadors there is a vegetarian, and so she was really excited about some report someplace down south, Loma Linda. Have you ever heard of that? Yeah, about these people who live longer. Yeah, and so we talked to her about that, and then they told us, they said, you know, Mindoro is great. These are communist rebels, and we're thrilled to see that happen. That's kind of a local thing here, but the ones in Mindanao, they're connected with Al Qaeda. They're connected with Iraq. They're Muslim rebels. The American government has a lot of interest. And so Kathy and I are going there with Cammie and some others, and we'll have a baptism with rebels. There are 100 and...
Well,
they're preparing for baptism now.
They're not going to be rebels.
They won't be rebels anymore, no. They have handed their guns over to the military. We work with the military. Handed their guns over, and they're preparing for baptism. And plus their families. These are the assassins, hardcore. You know, you grow up in a life that you can't believe. You know, the way they survive is they go to the merchants in town, and it's time to pay your dues. You either pay up or you're shot. So it's just anyway. We have a song that kind of talks about Airways of Love.
Airways of Love. Okay. A friend of ours wrote this. Actually, Kana and Mark Bond. They wrote this, traveling to a mission Sabbath in Washington.
There we go. We are turned on here. Sometimes they work. I will gently come down and push the button. I had a knee replacement 6 weeks ago, but let's see here.
Impossible. We shine We meet the needs of hurting people. We know the spirit that drives. We share our knowledge of the Savior. We speak the truth that changes lives. We are the voice. We are the vision. We have been called to share the Great Commission. In every way, proclaiming words of truth from above. We share on airways of love. By day, we tell every nation. By night, we reach every land. With love that's strong and eternal. In peace, we rise up and stand. We are the voice. We are the vision. We have been called to share the Great Commission. In every way, proclaiming words of truth from above. We share on airways of love. We are the voice. We are the vision. We have been called to share the Great Commission. In every way, proclaiming words of truth from above. We share on airways of love. We share on airways of love.
Sorry, honey.
Not only has Duane had a knee replacement, I have.
Ours has been a little longer, but mine's been, it'll be 6 weeks Monday. If you haven't ever done it before, don't do it. Not a good thing. I fell through my son's deck, actually, and tore the cartilages out a year ago. You know, I kept putting it off, but I thought for sure it could repair itself. Doesn't do that. I don't know why. Yeah, okay, good. Well, are we at the end? Something happened, huh? Well, it's not showing the picture, is it? It jumped someplace else. We'll just forget it. But I do need to tell the boys and girls a story. We had a video on it. A chicken farmer in Philippines, big chicken farmer, raised chickens for eggs, had a good business, and all of a sudden the chickens started not laying. And so his profits were going down, 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 but they kept eating. Well, that's a problem. They want food, but they're not laying eggs. And so he went to town, to Manila, and he found a chicken psychologist. So we went to see the chicken psychologist. Boys and girls, you guys like chickens? Easter time, do you have eggs that you color and stuff? And do you like boiled eggs or mashed eggs? So the chicken psychologist said that they're depressed. And so you need to play them music. So he got some radios and put in all these chickens, hundreds and hundreds of chickens, started playing music. And the production went down. And he said, no, just try to play good music, soft music. And so he found Adventist World Radio. And the production started climbing and climbing and climbing. And then Adventist World Radio did a series with Cammie Ootman preaching on the series. And the production went crazy. And so they, thanks so much, they studied with him, and he's now a baptized Seventh-day Adventist. He and his whole family. So even chickens like Adventist World Radio. I'm not sure if we'll get this going, but let me just take you to a friend of ours that in Mendora. I mentioned him, and Robert Dulai. He's on his way here now for the General Conference meetings that we're going to in Washington D.C. Robert is an amazing person. He's our director there, and he's working with me. We're going to start a great controversy project so that we have the question of the day on the radio station. When people call in and get it right, then a church member delivers them the great controversy. We're starting this around the world at all of our radio stations, so that's our next big thrust. And so he's in charge of that. That's what happened in Mendoro, and he's working down in Mindanao now with us. We're there, but he's coming here, and he'll be here shortly, I think, just next week. So we're excited that Robert is coming. He's just a great worker. What happened in Mendoro, where we baptized all the people were killed, the 40,000 in the 50 years. And I remember the 50 years because that's how long Adventist World Radio has been going. So it's about 53 years now. So I told him back, what was it, Kathy? What year? 2017. We were there in Christmas time for camp meeting, and they said you have to give $1,000 when you come. And I said, why? Well, we kind of had known the routine. We take mission trips and do a lot of those. We have. By the way, we have a great mission trip coming up in Kenya, Rwanda, and Tanzania, and Papua New Guinea, PNG. You ever hear of Papua New Guinea? Yeah, that's going to be next summer, and it'll be enormous. It'll be a great trip. Contact us if you'd like to have fun. The only problem is Papua is so far away, but you fly and you fly and you fly, but you eventually get there, and once you get there, you don't want to come back. So yeah, Papua New Guinea will have a medical as well as the evangelistic series all across. Does it work now? We'll see here in a minute, huh? Somehow this PowerPoint was made on a Mac, and the PC. That's not the video, but yeah, that's a chicken farmer. It's here, but it's not there. I don't know. Technology is wonderful when it works, and it usually does. But sometimes we just have a problem. It doesn't want to work. It doesn't want to work. Okay, forget it. It's fine. We'll be fine. But thank you so much. Asante sana Bwana Mkubwa. Asante. What's your first name again? Patrick. He's from Kenya, right? Nairobi? Okay. We have a big radio station, by the way, in Nairobi that covers the whole city. And it's just, Mark Finney just had a series of meetings there, and we broadcast all across the city on AWR and all across the countries there in East Africa. So that went really well. So back to Robert. He first off, when we said, we're going to bring, we had decided to take the Japanese, the Japanese. You may not be aware of this, but the work there is very slow, and they don't do evangelism. And so our idea was, Elder Wilson's going to preach a series, and we'd have them train them to preach meetings. And so we brought. Now think about this. The history of Japan and Philippines and that area, and MacArthur and all that, right? So we we decided to bring the Japanese pastors and lay people, those who would, to the Philippines to preach an evangelistic series. And so they came. I told them to prepare for the meetings. I told Robert, the pastors, I had an ordination service. Kathy was with me. We were there in Mindoro in the Philippines. And so we told them, we said, okay, to prepare for the meetings, what you need to do is to play Adventist World Radio and then invite people to the meetings. And Robert says to me later, I thought that would never work. People don't listen to the radio. And so he started for 3 weeks and nothing happened. And then after that, they said, okay, let's do the question of the day. And this worked so well. So that's revolutionized the way we're doing broadcasting around the world. You see, what happens is on Sunday, for example, the question of the day is, what happens when you die? On Monday during the sermon, that is answered. You know the answer to that, do you? Some of you? Yeah. What happens when you die? And so on Monday night then, during the sermon, the pastor, the speaker, will answer that question. The first ones who call in or text in the right answer get a special gift. So from that, we started baptizing more and more people. First, a whole village wanted to become Adventists. Secondly, 5 villages want to be. Finally, Kathy, how many? 543 villages now are Adventists in Mindoro. Amen? It's just amazing. And so Robert got so excited about it. I said, we're going to do the Great Controversy Project. That's going to be the gift for the question of the day. And we're going to do it in the Philippines. We're going to do it in India. We're going to do it in Europe. By the way, we're just finishing up a meeting right now is going on in Brussels by our General Conference treasurer. Treasurers don't preach, do they? Well, Paul Douglas is doing a series of meetings and are having baptism in a church in Brussels that had never had meetings before because evangelism doesn't work. You know when evangelism doesn't work? When you don't do it. And so Paul is preaching. He's having a nice baptism with several young people there in Brussels today, because he preached a series of meetings. Isn't that thrilling? John Kabuko, this young man, he is so exciting. He just, same time, he's over in Austria. By the way, Cammy's in Austria too, preaching today. He was in Austria with young people, and he's having a large baptism there too. Just an amazing young man. He's doctor of neurology. Yeah, but he loves evangelism, so he's working for us now. Just an amazing young man. So back to the Philippines. So we did this, and now we have a new project with the question of the day. It's called the Great Controversy Project. We have a new Great Controversy. We thought, we can't just give people a great controversy. You've got to have some, what are these crazy things called? QR codes or something like that. So we have those throughout the book, and a Bible study at the end of the book, so that people can not just read the book, then they can go to the Bible study. They can click on the QR codes. You can watch our videos. Have you ever watched any videos? We were going to show you some today, but it's not going to work. Have you ever watched any of our videos? Have you seen them? awr.org. Just go to awr.org. Yeah, there. AWR 360. You can type there too. That's also a good spot to go. And you can watch Cammy's videos, my videos. We have lots of different ones that. Think that'll work now? Oh, great. Ah, you're an angel. That's the chicken story. We'll go through that. I want to tell you, that's fantastic. Thank you. This is Wiesem. That's his wife, Audrey. She's from South Africa. She's Afrikaans. Their daughter, Raquel. And that picture, I think, is about 3 years old. I think so. Yeah, I think it's about 3 years old. Kathy and I were in Jordan, and we went over there, crossed the river. It takes a long time. We got over there from the West Bank over to Tel Aviv, where this church was, and they weren't staying for church. They said we have to go to a funeral. Really? A funeral? What happened? Now, you guys, this is amazing. It really is. Well, you see, Wiesem, when he became an Adventist, his family tried to kill him. The largest tribe in Nazareth. mother now is the chief of the tribe. But it's a huge tribe in that. There's lots of, to become a Christian, you mean you could be killed. And so they wanted to kill him. And so he actually, before that, he had been stoned because he asked why is the name Jesus in the Quran. And his uncle had him stoned twice, put him in the hospital. His dad told him he had to leave the country, so he went to Austria to our school there, and then to South Africa, and then to Southern Adventist University. And by the way, he'll be here at 3ABN in just November 1, isn't it? Yeah, at 3ABN we're going to film this. We've done some of it already. This is more. And so he's coming, but they tried to kill him. He was sent to Austria. His sister she's a doctor now in Germany, but she had converted. She had gone to our school, become a Seventh-day Adventist, was engaged to marry a pastor, and he heard about this. He told his family. They said, kill her. This is real stuff. And so he went there and he called her up. He didn't have her address. And he said, tell me your address. The family has sent me. You know why? Yes. They're Christian. Yes. And I've come to kill you. No, this is a sister. And so Wiesem said he was stuck at our university. He didn't have any place to go because she said, I'm not going to tell you where I am for a year. You give me a year to live, then I'll tell you. Real. And so so Wiesem, he's there, and the influence of the Christians and a professor at the university. Several things happened that year, and so he gave his heart to Jesus and was baptized. Went back to Israel, and the family was so mad at him, he didn't kill her. And he had to leave again. And so he left again and became a pastor. And so we've called him now to be our pastor there. Now that's been, I think since he was going to kill her, it's been probably 20 years. And we were there at Wiesem's ordination just a few months ago in Nazareth. And the sister was there from Germany. She's a doctor, medical doctor. And she told me, she said, up until just 3 or 4 weeks ago, every night for all these years, she would wake up in a cold sweat, thinking that she's going to be killed. Wow. Just amazing. So we're talking to him now. This is 3 years ago. And he said, we're going to a funeral. What happened? Well, he said, you won't believe this, but my cousins, these are wealthy Arabs. They have how many, 4 stories? The house is 4 stories, very nice. Right next to it is the cousin's house, the uncle's house. 4 stories, very nice. They don't speak because the cousins have vowed to kill Wiesem because he's a Christian. See, we have this radio station that we're starting, that we have there, and we're raising funds to buy more of it. It'll be a $2 million project eventually, but it's a fantastic station. It's going to, it does already. It reaches the whole Middle East on the internet. Wow. So he said one morning they heard a commotion in the street. They went downstairs and the cousins were coming. They were screaming. Wiesem went out and they said, we're going to kill you. We're going to kill you. I think I have that on video. Let's see here.
My uncle had tried to stone me to death, and now my cousins were here to finish the job.
Find out how God is using Adventist World Radio to reach the Muslim community and other difficult-to-reach areas with the gospel message. Hi, I'm Tammy Utman, and this is AWR 360.
Adventist World Radio is broadcast to the most remote locations of the world in more than 130 different languages. We've been doing this for the past, well, almost 50 years now, but I've never seen anything like this before. From baptizing rebels and assassins, almost daily we receive news of amazing miracles taking place all around this old ball of mud. Wiesem's story right here in Nazareth is an example that especially touched my heart.
Being born Muslim, Wiesem was taught to hate Christianity. So when his sister decided to become a Christian, he was sent by his family to kill her. But because of a miraculous dream from God, he decided to begin studying the Bible. He soon returned to Nazareth to share his new belief with his family, and his uncle, upon hearing this, became very angry and ordered his stoning. This happened over and over until finally his brother stepped in. Then his father advised Wiesem to flee the country. Years later, after his father and uncle died, Wiesem's mother invited him to return. He immediately saw an opportunity to share Jesus in Nazareth, so he decided to set up a center of influence where he used the Bible to teach English to his fellow people. We also gave Wiesem AWR God Pods, which he distributed among his community. Recently, though, things took a turn for the worse as the sons of his dead uncle found out what Wiesem was doing. They too had participated in his stoning many years before, and now rallied a mob and went to Wiesem's house to attack him. Wiesem's wife Audrey heard the commotion downstairs and rushed out to see what was happening. She knew right away that Wiesem was in serious trouble and fell on her knees and began to pray. Wiesem's brothers rushed to protect him when he was hit with a metal rod, but then his own cousin pulled out his knife and stabbed Wiesem. But to his astonishment, the knife bent, leaving him unharmed. Wiesem's brother then picked up the bent knife and said,
"Try again to kill the man of God."
As the mob retreated, they threatened, "You will not know where or when, but we will kill you." Several months later, Wiesem received a shocking phone call that these same two cousins had been killed while riding their motorcycle. It just reminds me that if God is for us, who can be against us? This miraculous event agitated the Muslim community so much that Wiesem knew it was the perfect time to use AWR's cell phone evangelism. He immediately sought out someone to translate the sermons into Arabic. He found a man named Jamil who readily agreed to help. Jamil worked for days, sometimes late into the night, translating the Bible-based sermons. As he read, he was so greatly moved by the presentations that he felt compelled to share them with one of his friends from the Baptist church. She was so amazed by the sermons that she shared them with her pastor, who was also impressed by what he read. He then sought out Wiesem to preach at his church. Wiesem presented at the Baptist church, sharing Bible prophecy, our health message, and Ellen White's writings. Their hearts were so convicted that the pastor and almost his whole congregation made the decision to be baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And on a beautiful Sabbath day, we held a church service at the Jordan River. Then one by one, they entered into the water. Wiesem had the joy of baptizing these precious souls with Elder Duane McKey.
God is calling all who are willing to proclaim his last day message. Adventist World Radio not only broadcasts into the Muslim countries in their own languages, but we are working with people like Wiesem, helping to share the gospel message in countries that still need to hear the wonderful story of Jesus. Thank you for supporting AWR. Jesus is coming soon, and he invites you and me to be a part of this great movement that will light the earth with the knowledge of his truth. From broadcast to baptism, this is AWR 360.
So if you go on your phone and you download the app, AWR 360, that's where you'll have all these videos, and you can watch it on your phone then. So that makes it kind of fun for you. So here we are, back at Kathy and I, the other picture, back at, and not Nazareth, next door in Tel Aviv. And they're going to a funeral, and this is their cousin's funeral. These two cousins who had vowed to kill him were in a motorcycle crash. And it was interesting. His brother's not an Adventist. The two brothers are not Adventists. They're very supportive. There's family, you know, and they're Muslims. So they had a meeting right after the stabbing, and they were going to burn the uncle's house down. So it was pretty serious. Actually, when we were there for the ordination last year, we got word, and the police came, that they were another part of the family was going to come and burn us out, but that didn't happen, and so it's just tense. It really is. But we said to them, listen, guys, I believe in the God of heaven, and he says he'll fight for me. Let God take care of it. So here's a few months later, the two cousins who had threatened Wiesem are dead. Just amazing, isn't it? Wow. So, God looks down. I always, I like the idea that I think a preacher probably understands. You hear preachers say all kinds of stuff, but I think this is true. Maybe I'm the one that said that, Kathy. God sees the earth, and it's like God is on a great mountaintop. You ever go to the Rockies and you get high up? You can look down, you can see all the way around. God sees all the way around at the same time. He looks at the earth. He knows what's going on. He's taking care of it. He's big enough. God's big enough. He can take care of you. All your problems, he can take care of you, right? And so he sees the whole thing at the same time. He's in charge. He'll take care of us. I like that text, Kathy's favorite text. It's Habakkuk. It's Habakkuk 1:5. Look among the nations and watch. Be utterly astounded, for I will work a work in your days which you could not believe, though it were told you. Whole churches in Papua New Guinea are becoming Adventists. They're taking their signs down. In Nigeria, we have a buddy. He's a radio announcer there. Every few weeks he'll write me and says, "Happened again." What's that? He says, another church is changing their sign. Another church. And somebody said to me, why doesn't that ever happen in America? Well, about 2 months ago, we got a call from Montana. Donovan Cack. Anybody know Donovan Cack? He was a pastor with us when I was in North Pacific Union up in Alaska, and he worked as an evangelist. He was sent there to this town, and this is so thrilling. Montana, of all places. This is not Missouri. This is not Africa. It's Montana. And so one of the church members said, she told the new pastor that the people in the Lutheran church, Methodist church rather, sorry, in the Methodist church came by, some of them, my friends, and they said, we need a pastor to preach just on Sunday mornings. That's all. Would your pastor preach, your new pastor? And she says, well, sure he would. I'm sure he would. And so she told Donovan, okay, I'll do that. So he's been preaching for several months now. And so after a while, they said to him, we're a small group. Actually, it was just a handful at first. And they're, 50-some now. Just a small group. And they said, we got to grow. Well, he said, well, I can. I know how to do that. Well, how? Well, we got to preach the Bible. Well, preach the Bible. Well, I'll do a series of meetings. Okay, do a series of meetings. I've done that a lot. Okay, so he started a series of meetings, and after a while he said to some of the leaders, he said, we're going to get into heavy stuff here about the Sabbath and the prophecies and everything. What do you think about that? And they said, just preach. We want people to come. So he started preaching about Sabbath. I was talking to Donovan, 3 days ago, as we were driving, and he's coming to the GC to tell this story. And the church, I guess just that week, that day, wasn't it? That day, the conference, the Methodist conference in that area of Montana, voted to give the church to the Seventh-day Adventists because all the Methodists have been baptized. And he has a picture of over 50-some. That's America. God looks down. He says, what's that text? It's almost like hide and watch. Look among the nations and watch. That means America too, doesn't it? Be utterly astounded, for I will work a work in your days which you would not believe, though it were told you. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we talk about what you're doing. We know you're taking care of us. You got the whole world in your hands. And we thank you for that. We see what's happening in Europe today. We see what's happening in Africa, Philippines, and Papua New Guinea. We're so excited about all these churches giving their hearts, people giving their hearts to you and accepting the message that Jesus is coming again. And Father, I thank you for Donovan, our friend, up in Montana. I just pray that church will continue to grow, and other Methodist churches too in Montana and across North America will hear the news and make a decision too to be baptized. Thank you for Jesus. Thank you for this church. And Father, there may be somebody here that is thinking about being baptized. If you are, would you just raise your hand while we're praying? You think about being baptized, raise your hand. I want to pray for you too. Yes, young man. Great. Anyone else? Anyone else? Thinking about being baptized? No, we'll pray you. Father, we pray for those who are thinking about being baptized, that you will touch their hearts and help them to talk to their pastor and prepare. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Oh, there's more to the sermon. Kathy, come and help me. You got to see the knife. This is Weesam's shirt. Here, come up. This is a shirt. This took a family council decision to give me this knife and shirt because Mama didn't want it to go. It's such a prize. So let's turn it around this way. This is real stuff, guys. Real stuff. The knife was straight. This is stainless steel. It's a butcher knife. Stainless steel does not what? Bend. It doesn't bend. You never, ladies in the kitchen, your butcher knife, it doesn't bend, does it? It breaks. It won't bend. Okay? So he stabbed him. It went right in here, turned. It turned. It came out here. So if you want to come up and get a picture with this, you're welcome to. Thank you very much.